What's up? How's everybody doing? Go ahead, share this out. It's a little late, but better late than never. Let's stick to that shit. Alright, so just wanna throw it out there now. Thanks for all the love and support. Everybody that's helped along the way, one way or another, sending good energy. Definitely been able to feel that. It's keeping me going. So, um, share this out to these groups. And just ignore the black eye. It was an accident. Things happen. No, I was not beaten by anyone. Just so you're aware. But anyways, I just wanted to start this live, give a little bit of background on myself, kind of the situation I'm going through at the moment. There are lots and lots and lots of people out there doing similar things. I'm not trying to be in competition with anybody. These damn gnats are driving me crazy. I apologize. But I feel like the more we are being active, being proactive, and going out, sharing our experiences, sharing our story, giving each other that inspiration and that drive, that know-how to transmute that energy, any negative energy, into a positive, loving way that's going to make things a little easier in some cases, a lot easier in some other cases. It all just kind of depends on where you choose to be mentally, and how you decide to really go about reacting to certain allegations, accusations, whatever. So a little bit about what's going on with me. I've been separated from my soon-to-be ex-wife for almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years, actually, right after our court date. The day after, or the day before our court date, actually, would be the 2 years that we've been separated. Essentially, the verbal agreements that we had hold no meaning, pretty much. So I really, I guess, in a sense, I allowed her to take my rights, not only as a father, but as a citizen of these wonderful United States. And it's been hard for me to accept that I totally bowed down and allowed somebody to walk all over me just because they were the mother of my children. Which is sad because this is happening to so many people out there. Crazy statistics, people, there are at least 50 men a day that commit suicide. My father being one of those 50 men, probably less at the time of his death, but him being one of those that wasn't able to continue the fight because it was so much, and he didn't have the support. There wasn't the support there is today. There's not the people who are willing to stand up for what's right and risk, in their eyes, losing everything. But what is it when you lose everything? You lose time from your kids. It is hard. Not taking that from anybody, and or looking at that as something that is easy to deal with. But when you're able to transmute that energy from a negative energy to a positive energy, and use that to connect with your children and show and send that loving energy, that caring energy to them, they're going to feel that. There's been numerous stories I've heard. My soon to be new wife will hopefully one day see how she likes the proposal when that happens, when this is all done, but or at least when the divorce is finalized. So anyways, you know, we I totally distracted myself with that. So she's sitting over there pretending like she's not around, but she's been a great support. I couldn't ask for a better person to stand next to me and help me in this fight, and that's important too. Very, very important. Who you have next to you, because they could either feed that negative energy and keep you in a bad place and keep you from making that loving connection, because it's important to make that loving connection with the person who is trying to beat you down. And that that is another important thing. But before I get too far into that, I want to really go about my story so you can understand that it's not just, I'm not just saying this because I'm not getting drugged through the mud or anything like that. So, like I said, it's been about 2 years since our separation officially. We sold the house, split everything up. I then was ripped of my rights and taken advantage of and manipulated and made to feel like it was my fault. And so now it comes a time when I feel it is in my children's best interest that they come to be with their dad. Now it's been a fight for almost 2 years, anyways, just getting time to talk with my children. My two daughters, my youngest being 2 now, she'll be 3 in September. My oldest being 6, she'll be 7 in August. So, you know, they are sad that they don't have as much time with me, but that's a whole nother side of things that I'm not going to get into right now because I don't feel like it's my place to at this moment. But because it ends up coming down to both of the parents working together essentially. But anyways, so I have really fought. I visited my kids on Christmas. My 2-year-old daughter wanted me to bring her home at that point. I fought against it. I said, no, you need to stay here, because at that time I was conditioned. I was programmed essentially to think that I don't have a right as a father to have my kids living with me. Regardless if I have a significant other that can help with the children, if I didn't feel like I could do it on my own, I felt like I wasn't able to have any rights as their father. And that's not okay that somebody would take advantage of something like that, because, you know, it just shows their true intentions. And that's happening to so many people. And it truly is sad, and what it's doing is it's creating hate. So I do everything that I can to get the time to at least speak with my children. I do what I can to at least get them things that they need, stuff like that. I finally got to the point when the last thing my oldest daughter told me was, or one of the last things she said to me that kind of made up my mind, I guess, that I had to do something, was when she told me she felt like her mommy was trying to keep them from me. At that point, I felt like I had no other choice but to bring them home to my home and work on getting things equal between their mother and I. So I really feel like there is um, a lot that can be done as far as communication, putting your differences aside to be able to work something out that fits for both the parents and it's healthy for the children, no matter the distance. And that's a huge thing. Why does it have to come down to traveling being such a horrible thing? Is it horrible that you can travel a few different states and be able to learn a little bit of history in each of those states or see the different cultures in each of those states? What's wrong with that? That's an education beyond school walls that the schools will never be able to do. There's nothing wrong with that. That's if that's turned into something good, a good experience for children, it's a learning experience. There's nothing wrong with that. So distance can be argued left and right, but if you ask me, it's all it is hindering our children from learning something different, being introduced to different cultures. Who knows what our kids will be one day when they grow up? They have they have the world at their fingertips if we allow them to, but if we continue to hold them back, they're going to be whatever mediocre, average sheeple, whatever you want to call them. We want our kids to be somebody. I Anyways, I brought my kids to North Carolina. There was some issues with that. I was under the impression that we had come to an agreement, that my daughter wanted to be here. Both of my daughters were happy to be with dad, and we were going to keep them here for a time being, and we would discuss further arrangements or whatever. So shortly after getting here, I enrolled my daughter in school. Wasn't obviously trying to hide her. Wasn't trying to not show where we were at. If I enrolled her in school right away, I wouldn't have enrolled her had I known what was going to happen. But essentially, my daughter wasn't budging as far as wanting to go back to Utah. So there was a order filed, temporary restraining order, amongst a stack this thick, that was filed on April 10th. Now, April 11th, I was told that my kid's mother was in urgent care and was having troubles with her kidneys, and that made me feel really bad. She wasn't really able to talk to the children, but I wished her well and hoped that she was going to get better. The last thing I would want to have to tell my kids is that their mommy's in the hospital and that they're sick, and she's really sick, and we have to go see her. And that would hurt the kids, and they would feel that. So, I told her keep me updated, whatever. Well, lo and behold, the next morning I have Alexander County sheriffs knocking on the door. They were here to execute a warrant to retrieve the children. They were, my oldest was at school. I wasn't able to even see her or say anything to her beforehand. I was with my 2-year-old Harper Grace. I was caught off guard for one. Like I said, I thought I was under the impression we had come to an agreement for the time being, and that we would discuss things further. I broke down emotionally, of course. I mean, anybody who's had their kids taken out of their hands by the police, with no understanding of why this is happening, other than there's an order for them to do their job. And they're prepared for a fight because of whatever was said about you was said in a manner that made them on guard and expect a fight. When it came down to it, I gathered a few things for my kids. They didn't come with much. I had a lot of stuff. We had stuff here for them because they've had a life with me, regardless of what anybody wants to think. They have had a life with me. I've kept a lot of what I can of their stuff in between the move from Utah to North Carolina. And hell, I probably still have some stuff in storage somewhere out there. Right now, I'm more worried about what's the next step. But I packed them the few things that they needed, and I had to tell my youngest daughter, she's 2, Harper, that she had to go spend some time with mommy. Well, the moment I said that, she broke down and started crying. I don't want to go to mommy's. No, I want to stay here. When your 2-year-old does that, it not only breaks your heart because you feel defenseless, especially as a father, that there's not a damn thing you can do but just allow this to happen. Your heart breaks, but you also you feel so powerless and just start to wonder why does she not want to be there so bad? What is so bad about being with her mother? I can sit here and I could speculate and make accusations left and right, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to stand firm in what I feel and what I believe to be true, and that is that I've been able to stay energetically connected with my kids strong enough that this time and distance between us has no meaning, has no bounds in keeping us together, which means our relationship, no matter the time or distance, will always have a certain amount of strength as long as I hold that strength. Your kids will always have that. It's up to you to be strong and keep that loving energy flowing and putting your intentions out there to have your children feel that love for them that you have, and be there knowing that you're doing everything in your power to do what's right. And it's huge. It is huge, huge, huge to take yourself out of the equation really altogether and not only do what's right for you, but do what's right for so many other people who are getting screwed over in the same ways. Our situations may be a little bit different. Some of us may have been fighting for 10, 15, 20 years, while others of us only been in this a couple of years and only just starting the court process. But all of us together, standing together, helping each other, supporting each other, giving each other advice, being there when you're feeling down, because don't become another statistic. It's not worth it, because your kids are going to see what you gave up. You can't give up. We're in a time right now where we are healing generational cycles. These are cycles that have been happening from our parents' parents, from their parents' parents. These things have been trickling down, affecting generation after generation, and there's starting to be scientific proof of this stuff in our DNA and things like that. So, call me crazy if you want, but when the proof comes out, what are you going to argue then? Because things that happen to us mentally have a physical effect. I've been working on a bunch of things prior to this that was going to really help in the movement of making mental abuse easier to detect because it does have a physical effect on the body in so many different ways. There's autoimmune diseases, which autoimmune diseases is when the body attacks itself. Think about it. That's the mind attacking the physical body. That's why autoimmune diseases aren't understood, because they can't understand why the body would attack itself. It's because it's the mental part of the body attacking the physical part of the body. And that's what's so important about my overall goal and dream of building a healer's place, which is in the works of being revived through what I'm going through now. And Intuition Speaks, which my wonderful, lovely other half over there, Andrea, had come up with, which is beautiful. Together, this is bringing us to our life mission, helping. That, one of our biggest things we felt was working with the homeless. We weren't really working with the homeless a whole lot because we didn't see where we were needed to fill that role, I guess, until this all happened, because I just started thinking about it. How many of the homeless were parents who went through this, who lost everything, ended up on the streets? How many of them were veterans who had this happen to them when they were overseas, fighting for their rights, fighting for all of our rights, and their kid's mother or their kid's father, or however the situation may be, because I'm sure there's plenty of different situations out there both ways, and that's why it's about equal parenting rights, because there are mothers that get screwed just like the fathers do. And that's important too. The fathers, definitely, as men, we have rights, and that's taking it to a fact of gender. But we have to think about the kids, the parents, things needing to be equal, because that's going to be what's healthiest for the kids. But it all ties together when you're fighting for something, anything like this. You're fighting for it, and it's going to trickle into many other things, because so many of our rights end up being violated. My biggest right that was violated in this whole ordeal was they issued these orders on the fact that I have different beliefs. I believe in universal regard, or that there are more than one God, or that I still believe in Jesus. I still believe in a lot of what Christian faith teaches. I believe in what Catholic faiths teach. I believe in a lot of all the religions have the truth in them. They just have their personal beliefs put into that as well, which we all do that. In the business that we are in, and in the route that we decided to go, was to be spiritual, not religious, but spiritual mentors and coaches to help people, just see a different perspective, understand a different perspective. Because the more you can free your mind and have less limiting beliefs, the more you're going to be able to see things from different sides. And this is what I'm getting at with, if you look at your situation a little bit different, use that negative energy, that anger you may get because you're not getting the time to speak with your children, use that to sit there and meditate and imagine yourself at a park playing with your kids, hugging your kids, kissing your kids, tucking them in at night, making their breakfast, making their dinner. If you imagine these things, if you put this in your head and you meditate on this and you do this religiously, that's going to make a difference. No matter what, you're going to have a relationship. And I've been saying this everywhere that I can. No matter what, you're going to have a relationship that is not beyond repair. So many kids resent their parents because essentially they give up. But see, it's suppressed in different ways, because as children, we don't necessarily know how to identify certain feelings. We may identify them as one thing because that's what we know at the time of that situation where you're suppressing things, but as you grow older and you realize and you learn more and you grow and mature, you see that there's something different, or there's more to it, or you know what I mean. There's the it's a little bit skewed when you're a kid. So you know that makes all the difference. Understanding those things, those little things. I want to fight for my kids to not be damaged like me. I don't want them to have any resentment because my dad was a good man. Just because I heard stories that said otherwise doesn't mean he didn't do what he could. He did everything he could with limited resources, probably. So it wasn't the social media, the internet wasn't what it is today. So we need to utilize what we have and fight. But this energetic connection, this is what's going to make it to where we're not creating a society of damaged future adults. We have enough as is that need the help to understand what the hell happened in their childhood that's causing them to repeat these cycles as an adult. Abandonment was a big one for me, and it came down to something I never would have expected to be. But it made perfect sense, and once I realized it, I don't feel that anymore. Hell, I almost want to be by myself now all the time. Because I don't have that need to have somebody because I felt like I lost somebody previously in my life. So, that's just there's just so much to it. I wanted to get on and give a little bit of my story and kind of what's going on, and how I'm choosing to deal with things and look at things. I could sit here and I could bash on everybody and say a lot of mean, hateful things, which is the person I was before, or I could sit here and I could rightfully defend myself, speak the honest to God truth, and hope that that will be enough for others to start to do the same, whether they're in my position or the opposite position, because it's important that we start to see this differently, and we start to go about not necessarily attacking, but going about changing and reforming this whole family court system and disputes and between parents and divorces. It's an ugly situation, and nobody's suffering from this but the children, and the only people gaining from it are those in the court system, the lawyers, and there's videos I just shared about how the funding it's a billion dollar industry, from our children, from the suffering of our children. That's sad. That makes me sick to my stomach that children are used for profit like this. All because we can't put our damn egos aside and just work together. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm putting my ego aside and willing to work, because I have my moments where I want to do what's right, but I still allow my ego to come out and mess that up. So I'm not sitting here saying I'm perfect or that I am the example that everyone should follow. I'm learning just as much as everybody else going through this crap is. So, you got to do what you got to do. Feel your feelings. Just don't stay in them. When you feel like you surrender more. when you get to a place where you no longer have beliefs, you can believe in everything. Some of my favorite things, favorite sayings, for for the last year, 2 years, and they'll stick with me forever because those are the things that are getting me through this. Every time I feel like I'm in a place where I'm going to be able to handle maybe not seeing my kids until they're old enough to speak for themselves, I have to surrender more. Because when it comes down to it, I have to put that in my imagination, that feeling of them being ripped out of my hands once again, and see how I feel. Do I feel like I'm okay with it, or do I feel angered by that or hurt by that? I still feel both, so I'm not where I need to be. Chances are that's why these court cases go as long as they go. We can't pull ourselves out of the energy that is pushing our kids away, pushing that win away, that justice, that equal opportunity to be in your kid's life. And it's all because of how we think. Law of Attraction, The Secret, that was a big book that my kid's mother introduced me to and said I should have read a long time ago. Actually, I think she said if I would have read it a long time ago, it could maybe saved our marriage, something along those lines, or I might have said that. But and then she's going to turn around and use that against me. It's sad that happens, but at the same time, I'm going to prove that that's true words right there. Law of attraction, you keep your positive thoughts going. Is if I stay in this energy that I'm in, where I'm looking at the contrast, the challenges, and I'm persevering, but not only am I able to persevere through those, I'm looking at them with humility, being able to laugh at a situation that normally would piss me off. That's proof right there that I've done some healing. That's proof right there that this cycle that I've been stuck in for most of my life, and my dad probably was all of his life, and his dad before that, I've healed that. I'm starting to break down these walls that are keeping me from being truly free-spirited, free to enjoy what this world has to offer. And all you gotta do is just stay focused. Yeah, it's not all you have to do. You have to work your ass off to stay in that energy. I know it's not easy, and I'm not trying to sit here and pretend like it is, not one bit. But when there's support, when there's people out there that are willing to do everything in their power to help you through it, help me making these videos one at a time. I'll get on as often as I have to. You know, definitely reach out. My number is being plastered everywhere. As I get things more together, there will be more. I've got a YouTube channel that's going to be directly for this kind of stuff, so a lot of this will be able to be found. I suggest doing the same things. That's just proof to your kids that they had a father, they had a mother that was willing to fight and do everything they could. And that's going to also really stick with your children, because when they're old enough and they have their own kids, and this is something that my lovely other half has helped me realize, and that is when my children have grandchildren, or have children and I have grandchildren, as long as I do everything in my power to keep that connection alive, they have say on the rest of their life after they're grown. So I'll get the time with the grandchildren. If I stay doing what is right, our kids will see those injustices one way or another, um, because the truth always comes out. As long as you don't give up and you don't die with the damn truth in you, and you gotta try to find a medium that can pass the message along. But anyways, I really appreciate everybody's love and support through this whole thing. Like I said, I'm going to be doing what I can to get on, do lives. We're going to try to get back to business as usual as well. We're just getting everything organized and into a place where we can do what all we need to do as we travel between the states and set everything up properly, to prove what needs to be proven, and fight what needs to be fought. So again, thank you all for the love and support. I'm gonna be on as soon as I can again with an update. So until then, peace, love, and applesauce.